Hello and welcome to this week's Aiding Your Game, our web series where we talk all things RPGs. This week I want to talk a little bit more about encounters. We've done some previous videos where we've looked at upping encounters and making them a little more dynamic and a little more interesting and having a little more freedom to change up some of the standards of encounter building. This week I want to talk a little bit more about how we continue to evolve our encounter building as we continue to grow as GMs. Now, before we start this video, make sure you go down and hit that subscribe button to help us grow. If you don't mind the notifications, be sure to hit that bell so you know when we're posting new content. Give us a thumbs up if you like our content. Leave a comment down below of content that you'd like to see us cover on our channel. And of course, please share us with your friends so we can continue to get followers and upgrade the audience here at Green Oaks Gaming. As mentioned in the intro, we've shown how to change up some of our encounters, how the villains that we pull out of, whether it's the monster manual or Volos or whatever the source material may be, are kind of our entry level or first level foes right out of the materials. We've talked about how to upgrade those to have them be a little more dynamic and utilize strategy in how they interact with their environment when PCs confront them. And we've also looked at how to really utilize those CR systems to our advantage so that we can really drive our encounters to be more challenging for players who are a little bit more tactical as well as creative in how they approach the challenges we lay before them. Some of the other items that I utilize in my games to really tie in not just the story but the elements of my encounters is utilizing some of the treasure that a foe may have and making sure that that foe utilizes their treasure very well. If you think about a player character, some of the treasure that they contain is their arms and armor, magic items, magic weapons, anything that they're carrying around with them as they're going on their adventures is really part of their treasure. It isn't just about the gold and silver and copper and platinum that they're carrying with them. It isn't only about the gems and jewels, statues, any type of appointments like that. But some of their most prized treasure is actually the equipment they use as they're adventuring. Now, when you think about a villain who is in their lair that the adventuring party is going into to confront and defeat and ultimately destroy or overthrow so that they can continue their adventure, gain experience, get treasure and reward, some of the tools that the villains will have in their arsenal is also equipment just like your player characters. If, as a GM, you start to think of your encounter building as your player characters, one of the quickest and easiest things you can do to really upgrade your player character villains is by utilizing their treasures as their equipment. An example of this that I use in one of my campaigns is as I am assigning the treasure to the villain or the opponent, the foe, the monster that I'm using in an encounter, as I'm building an adventure, building an encounter itself, is as I am using the random rolls out of the Dungeon Master Guide for treasure assignment based on CR, looking at the treasure that I roll, because I always try to keep things random just so I don't get too comfortable or try to go down one path directly too many times. I try to really throw things in there at those random levels to keep things lively and interesting, both for my players as well as myself. I'll look at the treasure that I begin to assign with the random rolls and start thinking, how would my villain in their environment that I've created utilize that to their advantage? Magic items are a great example. Sometimes things that may seem mundane could be fantastic. Think about a lantern that they have up that every 6 hours they light, and it's just right inside their lair. But that lantern is actually a lantern of revealing. While this is a uncommon magic item. It's not too crazy for player characters to receive uncommon magic items as part of treasure. It's something that they can either utilize in game, pop in their bag of holding and save for when they need it, for when they're going into some type of crypts where they're going to be sneaking around and trying to discover hidden or invisible items. It's something they can sell and get some good treasure for, but it's also something that if it were in your villain's treasure hoard, why wouldn't they use it? Guarding themselves against invisible foes who may be coming in and trying to kill them or infiltrate their lairs. It's something that then starts to have an impact on how your players would get in. If your players are trying to utilize invisibility and your villain is there, possibly just enjoying the day, lounging around on cushions, thinking about world domination, and they see someone who is sneaking in, who is invisible, but the lantern of a revealing is showing them coming in, it automatically gives them an opportunity to not be surprised and start thinking about how they're going to interact with this intruder coming into their area. Utilizing some of the tools at hand in just everyday scenarios is a great way for the villains to have the treasure be used, as well as not just have it laying around in a hoard. I can't think that every villain that I have is going to have a safe full of all of their coins and Scrooge McDuck leap into it just because they can. I constantly think about how, if my villains are going to have treasure, how would they store it? How would they keep it? How would it make a good impact to the story and setting? Sometimes not just having piles of coins allows your characters to get more opportunity for storytelling and story opportunity than just having bags of coins lying around. Something like the Lantern of Revealing, if they go through and are using Detect Magic to look for magic items because that's their goal, all of a sudden seeing a lantern have this flash of magic on it starts to give them opportunity for telling stories. Why is this lantern magic? How can I use it? Where did they get it? This can allow you, if they focus on something like this, to start telling even different stories, adjusting that skeleton of your story to allow for more opportunity, or maybe coming back to elements of story that you didn't get to tell because they went left when you thought they might go right. Utilizing elements of treasure for your villains in their lair and how they confront PCs is a great aspect to not only make the items and the treasure a little more challenging to get, but really makes it seem more important so that your characters don't view it just as, oh, they dumped a reward and now I have more green. The same can be said of weapons and armor. If you've got better weapons and armors, having your villains use it could be a great way to not only make them more challenging to hit and hit more deadly, but remember, as they're wearing armor or using weapons, as they're attacking each other with the PCs, that armor is going to be damaged. It's going to lose value and drive your players to find ways to repair the armor or re-enchant the armor. Anytime you have a villain who's wearing their +1 or +2 armor, that could be the treasure that the PCs want. Now they've hacked and slashed and they've dented it. They need to get it repaired before it can be used. This is a great way to drive RP, get additional story ideas and elements as they take this armor in to get repaired. They could hear from the shopkeep or the armor that there's other disturbances in the area that they should investigate while he's repairing it. And it still allows them to gain that treasure and use that treasure, but it's a great way to continue developing ties to your world, making it seem more believable and realistic, and allowing your players opportunity to explore beyond just hack, slash, grab the reward, and go. Storytelling, in my opinion, at its base is about creating something with our players that they have good interaction with, but also that their actions and reactions have an impact on the outcome of that story. some of the items that we can assign to our villains to have as treasure and have our players want to retrieve, whether it's arcane items, whether it's just treasure, having it mean something beyond just it's the treasure sitting on the pedestal once the villain has been defeated, gives us an opportunity to make our stories a little bit deeper in lore, tie it into our villains and their motivations a little bit better, make it more tangible for the characters to have overcome and retrieve this treasure, tie it back into our story, storytelling appointments, and RP opportunities further down the road. Especially if you have players further on the side of RP and storytelling, these types of opportunities are going to give you more chances to draw your players into your story world and world lore, as well as role-playing with each other, with the villains, and with the NPCs of your world. This is going to be more gratifying for those types of players. Now, if you have players more on the tactical and gaming side, they may not be as interested into this. However, they will be interested in things like how to overcome the Lantern of Revealing. As they're going in, they'll start to think strategically, how can they overcome this trap, and how can they utilize this where it's set to their tactical advantage to overcome the villain. So even with the tactical and gamer style setup, utilizing these types of elements of treasure assignment to your villains is still going to allow them opportunity to have more fun at the table as they start finding out some of these elements, and you start utilizing some of the tricks and twists of great GMing to your advantage, as well as to their storytelling and role-playing opportunity. Now, the Lantern of Revealing I've used several times in one of my adventures that I've run quite a bit, and it was something that I thought was interesting and unique and a little bit different. I'd love to hear in the comments below how you've used treasure to thwart, challenge, or make an impact to the encounters you're building in your own stories. Don't hesitate, drop a comment down below. I'll be happy to reply and give you my thoughts and feedback on it, as well as just share some ideas and opportunities with you, the community, because after all, that's what it's all about. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to join us next week. I hope you enjoyed that video. Here's a link to another video that you may enjoy. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button to help us grow. If you'd like to support us, make sure you check out the description of the video with some links and leave a comment to let us know where will your adventures take you.